Yeah, so the ambition initially was we would all come together and we would support them to create culturally appropriate materials, but also to build on their literacy. They got a lot from it, so they got, they built on their self-esteem, their confidence, they got to talk about their culture. They created 2 amazing story sacks within just 7 weeks. They created a non-fiction book and they created a fiction book. But also it was to launch the story sacks. It was to create an inclusive space in both the libraries for traveller children, so whenever they go in, that they have something they recognise as part of their culture, but also that other children were able to learn more about travel culture.
Sailing into Wellness is a not-for-profit charity and social enterprise that uses sailing as a platform for wellness and education, really. Well, basically, anyone and everyone is welcome. We primarily work with groups that are marginalised in some form, so anything from addiction recovery to homeless. We work with the travelling community, intellectual disabilities, non-nationals. We basically pair with a pre-existing support group that's around mental health or community-based programmes, and we run our sailing programme with them. It's experiential learning, it's kinesthetic, and doing something physical and being out in nature, that can just have such a restorative effect.
This was a project, I suppose, that was aimed at people who felt themselves that they needed additional literacy, digital literacy in particular, use of technology, who felt maybe that they weren't maximising their use of technology in terms of the benefit it would have on their everyday lives. So this was, I suppose, aimed at, more than anything, aside from the skills, giving confidence to people. So it has had a huge positive impact, and particularly, I suppose, the benefit for us is seeing the value it has been to people in their everyday lives.
And ultimately, we've come up with quite innovative ways to increase access to objects in the collection for our learners with visual impairment. We had a whole series of workshops during which they got hands-on with objects in the collection, objects that they initially were curious about and then identified objects themselves. So they learned about the objects through touch. And in combination with that, we also developed something called an audio description for each object. Most people love the touch component. Many people relish the detail that our audio descriptions provide. A lot of people are just very positive about the work we're doing to make the museum more inclusive, and it really has changed our relationship with local disability groups.
Sure, the club has been running now for over 5 years, and it is based in a primary school in Limerick City. The project I work for supports 5 primary schools in Limerick that have a very diverse school population. So there's over 64 nationalities across the 5 schools. And one of the ways that EdNIP supports the families is to provide a club where parents can come to practice their English in a very safe, secure place, a place where mistakes are encouraged and allowed. Our reaction to the club is really positive. We've really high attendance every week. Parents come because it's a place to practice functional English. So we support parents to deal with day-to-day life, so how to interact with teachers, vocabulary around doctors, dentists, shops, filling out forms. So the club is very responsive to the needs of the parents, and we adapt what we're doing to depending on their requests.